will have revenge. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
Welcome, followers of the Dark Side of Life. I'm your host, John, the real JP3, and I'm joined as always by my good friend and fellow co-host, who is a master of the dark side, expert on the occult, and obtainer of rare antiquities and holograms. Please welcome Dark Lord of the Sith, David.
What's up, Johnny? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Episode 126. After we've seen Rise of Skywalker, it seems the world has changed a bit. There's different levels of color platitude that we're seeing now that the saga's fully wrapped up. It's kind of crazy, man. I never thought we would get to this point. What about you?
Yeah. I figured we'd get here. I just didn't know how we were going to get here or how it was all going to end when it all came through, so...
And they say this is the last film in the Skywalker saga, but who the hell really knows? In 10, 15 years, we're going to get Daisy Ridley coming back.
I think that Daisy Ridley will come back and she will reprise her role, but for me, I don't think you can, this is my personal opinion, I don't think tacking it on to the Skywalker saga is the right thing to do. I think once, by the way, guys, if you have not seen the movie, spoiler alert, 100% this episode, go see the movie and then come back and listen to this episode. This is our second part of our spoiler edition for Rise of Skywalker.
Because there's just so much. We couldn't fit it in one episode.
I had to finally cut David
Couldn't
off at the last one because he just kept talking and talking and talking. And I'm over here like, no one thinks of these things.
And we almost missed our other showing because of it.
Because he just keeps talking and talking. And so...
More my Kylo shirt, though.
So anyway, spoiler alert. Far all over the place, whatever you want to say. I don't know where I was going there. But anyway, at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, Rey wraps up Luke and Leia's lightsaber and she buries it in the ground on Tatooine, where Luke lived with Aunt Beru and Uncle...
The Lars homestead is what it's called, to be exact.
And so she buried the lightsabers, and in my opinion, and from what I believe, I feel that is the end. That is closing the book. That is closing the novel. The final hardcover edition of the Skywalker saga. And even though, she says, my name is Rey Skywalker, and she adopted that name, even though she's a Palpatine, in my opinion, that's the end of the Skywalker saga. Even if she comes back, that's the end of it. It's done. Over. No more.
But she's claiming to be a Skywalker.
But we've also heard the argument that Skywalker literally is like referred to as a Force user. Rey is a Force user.
Due to the Chiss ascendancy and them over there in the unknown regions, which that little factoid was brought to us through Thrawn, Allegiance. Allegiance, right? The second book in the Thrawn trilogy?
I don't know. I didn't read the second one. It's hard to get into. We were talking about this the other day. I tried to start it like 15 times and I just can't do it. But yeah, so that's why this is my opinion.
Alliances.
I could be
sorry.
wrong.
It's Thrawn Alliances.
That was close though. Allegiances makes sense. Yeah. But anyway, that's. I feel that the fate is sealed on the Skywalker saga. It's over with. Like the bloodline of the Skywalker, legit bloodline, is gone. It's ended.
Or maybe Ben Solo transferred a little essence when he gave her that kiss.
Oh, dear Jesus! Here we go with essence transfer.
Because technically, he had to give some of his life force to her. So in a roundabout weird way, she could technically be a Skywalker through that life transfer.
We're getting nitty gritty, guys. I don't know. Regardless, that's my opinion.
Okay. And we're gonna keep flushing it out, but again,
you can poke holes on it all you want.
Yes. And one more time, Gris, Chiz, Rodians, all you guys out there that have been listening to the show, thank you for coming back. We got a lot more Star Wars. Yes, Rise of Skywalker's done. The Skywalker trilogy's done, but we got plenty more stuff going down the pipe. We got Mando, Clone Wars saves coming back. Cassian Andor's around the corner. Obi-Wan. So thank you for tuning in. You got any friends you want to talk Star Wars with and rant about our random conversations? Plug them up in the Star Wars podcast line of us. John, hit them where they can find us in case they don't know.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SWPodBalance. We're also on, there's so many, let me try to remember. iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher Podcast, Google Play Store, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube.
Blueberry, Podomatic.
I think I said Podomatic.
Okay,
I've not been able to find us on Pandora. We keep getting emails from Pandora, but I've yet to find us on Pandora. So we need to research a little bit more.
Regardless, we're a lot of places. Google Play Store, I'm sure you said that one, but I'm going to throw that in there anyway.
Yeah. YouTube, if you want to see us, we're on the YouTube of You. Balance of the Force, the Star Wars podcast. You can find us on our page, but usually I post a link whenever a new episode goes up, and you can go find previous links. I think also you can click on our About Us on Facebook, and the links are there for YouTube. I believe I put them in there. If not, they're all over our wall or page or whatever you want to call them, whatever we call it nowadays.
So regardless, you can find us. Appreciate you tuning in. Let's get back to it, John. Let's get back to the Rise of Skywalker goodness. After seeing it many times as we did this weekend, did the last viewing for you, did that movie get better, worse, or did you get more picky as it continued on?
So I don't think I get picky as it continues on. I think that's more your style. It's not something that I am. That's something that I do. For the last time that we saw it, I enjoyed it. I really sat back and encountered the little things, as they say in Zombieland. It's beware of be happy about the little things, or whatever he says. So something that you mentioned on the previous episode on our part 1 spoilers, Babu Frick, I think you secretly love that character. No, I don't secretly love it. I love that character. And when I saw it for the third time, I was like, this is awesome. I can tell you, when I was watching The Force Awakens, when I was watching The Last Jedi, we saw it several times. I think The Force Awakens we saw almost 7 times. It was a lot of times. It was
quite a bit.
But by the end of, the multiple times that I saw both of those movies, I was getting to the point where I was like, I'm falling asleep and I don't care anymore. The Rise of Skywalker, I can tell you, I didn't get that way. I said on the last podcast that we recorded, I thought it was the best movie of the trilogy, the new trilogy. And as of right now, as it's still soaking in, it's the best movie of the saga. Granted, once it soaks in a little bit more and it releases, we'll come back into a reline-up. But overall, I really just sat and enjoyed the movie overall, and not really let me criticize this. There wasn't very many things in the multiple showings that we saw that I missed. You and I talked about some things, Nelson and I talked about things, but it's not I completely missed that. I think the one thing that Nelson said, when they're on Kijimi, C-3PO is running and his arms are doing this.
Yeah, they're moving outside of the bounds of his normal movement.
And I caught that in the third showing. But other than that, you just pick up on a little bit more facial characteristics. But I just watched it the third time to really enjoy it.
Okay. I think the third time I appreciated it a lot more than I did on our first 2 showings. Because yes, we were originally supposed to have 4. The night of the third showing, I turned to Johnny. I was like, "Hey, John, I'm kind of beat, man. Let's just chill. Let's watch it again tomorrow, the third showing, and we'll play catch up. We'll watch it independently sometime again, I'm sure." So we only saw it 3 times, not the 4 like we originally planned. But the third time, I did find myself enjoying it quite a bit more. I don't know if I like it more than The Last Jedi. I'm torn. I really am. I think I like it, again, like you said, better than the other 2 in this sequel trilogy. I just haven't. I'm not 100% yet. I'm iffy. I'm not gonna hit that button and claim it right now. But one thing we didn't get a chance to talk about in the last episode was all the cameos. All the cameos, because there's quite a bit. When we opened up that movie, the first planet they show, they don't title it, they don't show it, the name of it on screen. It's never mentioned. But I turned to you and I was like, dude, that's Mustafar. I think that's Mustafar. Sure enough, turns out it is Mustafar. That's where Kylo Ren is doing kind of a raid, if you will, trying to get to Vader's castle, which we saw in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and so like before we get too far into the cameos, let's just like give a brief recap because we got the numbers. Not like they sent them directly to us or anything, but we got the numbers for opening weekend.
So you got a number guy or what?
And so the Rise of Skywalker performed less than the other two movies in the franchise, the new trilogy. So domestically for opening weekend, it did $176 million, globally $374 million. Domestically, The Force Awakens did $248 million in opening weekend, and The Last Jedi did $220 million opening weekend domestically. So overall, significantly less money done in opening weekend for The Rise of Skywalker. A lot of different reasons as to people are speculating as to why. It could be the timing, the holiday. It could just people like clearly fed up with the fact of like this franchise needs something to be done about it. I don't know. The other thing is too is critics, when they saw it, gave it a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's relatively low and was lower than the other two movies in the franchise. But the audience, the viewers, like you and I, are giving it an 86%. And so way higher than the critics. And we talked about this on the last episode where JJ was like, the critics are right. But again, it goes back to the fact of you're going to like something and you're not going to like, you're going to like some things and you're not going to like other things. So you have to learn how to deal with those. And as a director or a movie person, you're going to have to learn to, you're not going to please everybody. We had some people make some comments on our Facebook page about, JJ should have done all three movies. But JJ will tell you that Rion doing the second one opened the door for things that he had never thought about when making The Rise of Skywalker, which we had mentioned before. People are like, and I go back to George Lucas. George Lucas directed all three of the prequels. And I remember you telling me, I was like, Dave, why do people not like the prequels? And you're like, George didn't really take any feedback from anybody. George did what George wanted to do.
He did, but he didn't have to listen to the studio as much as he did in the first films. The first movie, he was relying on other people. It was a lot more stuff going on behind the scenes in the original trilogy that he did not have to worry about in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But again, we can argue all day long. Could the prequels have been better if somebody else would have directed 1 and 3 or 2 or whatever? We don't know, but just some things to think about. And then cinema score, which I've never really heard of this. Maybe you have, Dave, but apparently these are people. This is a company that goes out and they verify like what movie you watched at the movie theater, and they ask you as you walk out of the movie theater, where would you rate this? So Cinema Score rated overall from the fans have rated The Rise of Skywalker a B+, which I think is relatively low. The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi both received A's, and Solo received an A-, which did significantly less at the box office and was not well received financially. And I think that some of the backlash from The Last Jedi, which is very interesting how the critics weren't a fan of it. The cinema score was a B+. It did not outperform the other two movies before it. In my opinion, my 2 cents, I think The Force Awakens is an anomaly. We hadn't had a Star Wars movie in forever, like it felt like. A lot of people didn't think they were going to get them, like you've mentioned several times before. So The Force Awakens, I think, is a little bit of an anomaly, but the fact that it went up against The Last Jedi and this could still be backlash from The Last Jedi. I'm not sure, but I don't know. For me, I don't agree with the critics rating. I don't agree with the cinema score, and I don't agree with the dollars that were done at the box office. So I think there's factors that we may not be aware of that are affecting those numbers. Just my 2 cents. But I figured we better give a recap of, since it's we're recording and the numbers are out already. So we'll see how it does throughout the entire time it's in theaters. But
I think you're gonna get a big push next week. You got this week I should say. You got the week of Christmas. People are gonna be off. They're gonna want to spend time with their family. Star Wars has planted its flag in December as a holiday, almost like tradition now. Since the sequel trilogy, those numbers are going to increase. That's not final by any means. Yes, it's opening weekend, but more people are going to see it. You and me are going to go see it a couple more times. It's going to get love. It's going to go down as one of the highest grossing movies. Yes, it might be smaller in comparison to The Force Awakens, but it'll still be a beast at the box office that other movies wish they could be. And this is just going to be, putting it not on the back burner, but giving people air and room to breathe by not having another film till 2022 or 21, whatever year it is. You know what I mean? It's going to give people time to relax and not have that Star Wars fatigue, like I always say that I had with Walking Dead. I got burnt out of Walking Dead. I was like, no, come on, Rick. Like, what are you doing? You know better than this. I kept having that same conversation of like, oh, okay, another person died from one random zombie. It just got ridiculous. I got Walking Dead zombied out. Hopefully, by this absence we're going to have, is going to make the heart grow fonder, if you will. And when the next one goes in theaters, it's going to be a big success. Plus, it doesn't have the baggage of, well, I've never seen the other 8 films. I don't know where to start. What order do I watch them in? What? They were released in episode 4, 5, and 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. You take a lot off of people's shoulders by starting fresh from a new story that everybody's on ground zero. Just my thoughts. No? Why that face?
Your thoughts are wrong. No, I'm joking. I was gonna be like, your thoughts are wrong. You have no idea what you're talking about.
I was like, I don't know why you made that weird like little pudding face.
Oh no, I was like listening to you and I was like, that's a very valid point about the fact that you're gonna start something new. Like, even though the prequels and the new trilogy like are new and it was in our lifetime because I wasn't alive during the original trilogy, it was connected. All of those movies were connected in some way. This next set of movies or whatever they decide to do it's not gonna be connected. It may be in the timeline somewhere, the Star Wars timeline, but how it fits into all of that is it could be very different. They talked about the Knights of the Old Republic. They talked about a Darth Bane series. People would love to see Thrawn and all that other stuff, but time will tell. They said that they're expecting a movie announcement in January after Rise of Skywalker kind of goes down, but we'll see what happens. The other 2 movies did over $1 billion before it closed the theaters. And I can't remember DVD sales. No, it's something we talked about when those came out, but I'm predicting it now. I'm going to say late February, March timeframe for the release of the DVD.
Which they've already speculated and rumored it to come out late March. Rise of Skywalker, 4K, all that good stuff. And at that same time, they're going to be launching, again, this is all speculation and rumor, a huge box set of all 9 films, a bunch of bonus features, a bunch of bonus content. Don't know a price tag, don't know what it looks like, packaging, anything like that. That's just what's going on and rumored, but we'll see. And if the rumors are true, it is not going to have Rogue One or Solo, a Star Wars story, because they are not the Skywalker saga.
It's like three G's or something. Like,
we'll find
$3,000. It's be expensive. Ooh.
Put it on my birthday list.
No, you can keep that off your birthday list forever.
That's rude. But is it cameo time? Is it cameo time?
No, I want to talk about something else. I don't want to talk about cameos. I'm joking.
You want to talk about the fact that I just hit my mic, but that I got the Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary. Haven't got a chance to read it, pop it open, but I will be looking at the Visual Dictionary on my next day off, taking a peek, giving it a read, getting some more information, and we're going to talk about it.
So cameos, a ton of cameos in this movie, a ton, and some that are like when I think of like, so I'm very different. I'm like, I think of cameos as like famous people, which if you're going to be in a movie, you're probably a famous person. But it's like people that I'm like, if I don't know you, it's not a cameo.
Johnny, you
Dave
don't know a lot of cats, John.
So Dave has to politely remind me, just because you don't know the person, John, doesn't mean it's not a cameo. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So, Dio, the new droid that we received from the Rise of Skywalker, was voiced by none other than J.J. Abrams.
I didn't know that until I saw it in the credits. What did you think of the little dude?
I liked Dio. I liked his ability. I liked the fact that he talked in reality. I know that seems like he's a droid. He shouldn't, but I like the way he talked because it kind of gave you that impression of like when Ray went to go shake his hand, he was like, "No, thank you, no, thank you," and he like backs up. Where instead of us like, granted, love R2D2 and BB-8, but it's like like we actually get to hear the droid talk. It's kind of like Babu Frick. Like he was talking several times, like in a different language where you can understand. But then when he talked in English, it was like when you brought it up, and then I like made sure I watched it in the third time. It's like C-3PO is like, "Hello, my name is C-3PO, human cyborg relations. Nice to meet you." And he's like, "Hi, I'm Babu Frick." And then he's like later on, he's like, "Oh, Babu Frick. He's one of my oldest friends." Like awesome, cool, but I liked the little droid. I'm interested to see if we will see him again, or if there's like any history about him previously, but I doubt it. But I like the little droid.
Okay. Not gonna lie to you, the first time we watched it, I guess I wasn't paying attention or I took a bathroom break, whatever. And I come back, I'm like, where the hell did Dio come from? Like, I didn't even see that they introduced him to the like film. All of a sudden, he was just there. So I don't know if I was in the bathroom.
You took a bathroom break.
Yeah, I came back and I was like, okay, hey, we got another droid. Hey, hi.
And I was like, Dave has no idea where this droid came from, and it's hilarious because.
Did you see the look of like puzzlement on my face?
No, I just knew. I was like when he showed up, I was like, Dave's missing this. It's his fault, not my problem. But I was like, it's not like it wasn't like a huge thing, but I was like,
Who's the next one? We got Johnny.
So we got Akbar, who is General Akbar's son,
Admiral,
and he is Admiral. Sorry, not General. And he's voiced by Chris
Terrio,
one of the writers on The Rise of Skywalker.
It seems so like self-conscious to say that name.
No, I just did it on purpose so you would say it. We got Warwick Davis that's returning as Wicket. Also, which is a fun fact, his son Pommet, Wicket is with him in the shot as one of the Ewoks.
So Warwick Davis's son, Harrison Davis.
Yeah, thank you. I was like,
what the hell are you talking about? He would not name his real kid Pommet.
I don't know. Some people name their kids some really messed up names.
Yeah, that's true. I can't even tell you about the name kid that I met the other day. It just blew my mind a little bit. So Warwick Davis's real son, Harrison Davis, played Pommet Wicket's dad, kind of thing. So that was kind of cool. And you see them at the very end when everybody's kind of rejoicing and Star Destroyers are blowing up. People were cheering. I was tearing. Oh, that is.
There were several parts that, regardless of how many times I saw it, like I got choked up.
No, I'm saying I was sad that the final order died. And people were cheering that they died, and I was sad that they died. But that's just
moving on. We're moving on. We have a lot of talented stormtroopers that appeared as cameos. You have in the credits is where it came from. FN 2802, played by Radiohead producer and musician Nigel Goodrich. FN FN 0878, played by Danny Harrison, the son of the Beatles singer, songwriter and guitarist George Harrison, and FN 1226, played by Slight and Sweetheart director J.D. Dillard. See, these, in my opinion, are people I don't know, so I don't think they're cameos.
Well, they're musicians, and you know, why do they all have the designation FN?
Are you asking because you know the answer? And
No, I'm
seeing if
asking because I know, because I generally want to know.
I don't know why it's called FN. Did we have that before with every other stormtrooper? Like, I don't remember them ever like announcing a stormtrooper as like, "Hi, this is FN 2187," like it's Finn. Like, I don't remember that happening in any other movie.
They really didn't, because you never got close enough to a stormtrooper in that sense to know their name, their distinction, their rank, anything like that. So I don't know if it's always been around, but even in the Clone Wars, they had individual identities, remember? But again, it was the Republic. It wasn't the Empire, so.
There was also a comment that Ed Sheeran was seen in one of the featurettes. I think it was a featurette, behind scenes, but there was no confirmation of which stormtrooper he was, or if he was actually in it, or if he was like a designation of a stormtrooper. So let's see. Rey's parents. We finally find out who's Rey's parents are, and when I saw them, I'm like, she looks very familiar. They're played by Jodie Comer of Killing Eve and the upcoming Free Guy, and Billy Howell, a lesser-known actor who has appeared in The Outlaw King, Dunkirk, and On Chesil Bay.
Dunkirk?
These people are like throwing me for a loop with these names. I'm like, I don't say these names like normally.
No, but the what you're referencing is the movie Dunkirk. That was Dunkirk.
Dunkirk?
Yeah, it was.
Did you see it?
No, it was a Christopher Nolan movie. I didn't feel like watching that. It just didn't blow smoke up my skirt. Not that I watch films often, then I'm just saying.
Let's speaking of Christopher Nolan, we're going to sidebar here for a minute. So when Dave Nelson and I went to the IMAX, there was this movie.
There was 40 minutes worth of trailers, by the way.
Yeah, 40 minutes, like legit. Like Dave was like timing it.
I turned and I said, "John, are we going to watch this movie, or like what are we doing?"
Oh, people were like, "Finally!" Like, come on, what are you people doing? But anyway, so there's like this IMAX trailer that we're watching, and we literally thought we saw like a short movie. The trailer itself was probably like 5 minutes, if not more. And we're sitting here watching it. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on in this. And I have no idea if this is a real movie or this was just like a slot filler for time. But this thing is awesome. Like, you're going to tease me with this trailer and then not tell me if it's a real movie? Lo and behold, Dave found it today. It is a legit movie. We could not pronounce the name of it.
1010.
1010. There you go. We were trying to say all kinds of words the other day.
That's what I'm calling it.
I don't know. But that movie, like, I'm stoked. I want to go see this movie. Like, I want to go see it when it comes out. Like, you had me hooked in the time that I saw that movie. I was amazed. Sidebar.
It's not coming out until July, but you know. Just saying. Back to the cameo. So this next one, as soon as I saw it, I was like, dude, that guy's John Williams. When they went to go meet Babu Frick, and they're going through that little bar cantina thing, you see a guy with a weird like monocle looking thing, and lo and behold, it's John Williams playing a character called Omat Tress. That's just kind of hanging out in the background. So I thought that was cool that we get to not only hear John Williams' beautiful score all throughout the Skywalker saga, but he's also in Rise of Skywalker. So again, just thought that was pretty cool.
I didn't think that was pretty cool. Dave pointed that out, and then when I saw it the second time, I was like, "Oh, that does look like John Williams."
Yeah, you were talking crap when I told you, like, no, it wasn't.
I don't remember talking crap, but okay.
You're like, Dave, I know famous people. If I don't know him, he's not famous. That's what you told me.
Never say that. But anyway, Andy Serkis and James Earl Jones reprised their role as Darth Vader and I was going to say Professor Snoke. Don't ask me where Professor came from.
I'm probably thinking Professor Snape.
Thank you.
It's scary how I know how his head works.
now I'm going to say Snape the whole time. Reprise their roles as the voices. They weren't actually physically there, but their voices were there. Oh, Dennis Larson was back as Wedge Antilles.
He only had like 3 seconds of screen time. I wish he would have had a little bit more.
Yeah, he did only have 3
I'm
seconds.
not a huge Wedge fan, but I wanted him in his own X-Wing. But by having him as one of the old guys, the vets, with Lando, again, that was pretty cool. But I just wish he would have been in an X-Wing, showing Poe some moves and be like, hey, this is how we used to get it done in my day. Something to that effect would have gone a long way.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, Dave was pretty upset about it. He kept talking about it. The next one, we've already talked about, we already knew, we've already revealed, Harrison Ford is Han Solo. Like, we've talked about this in our previous episode, the spoilers part 1.
What did you think after we had our conversation? We fully fleshed out our thoughts. I mentioned to you how the scene was almost choreographed exactly like The Force Awakens. What did you think having that preordained knowledge and then seeing it for the 3rd time?
But like, I thought about it, I was like, I kind of see it and it makes sense. But what you want to know, the one thing I really did pick up on is the fact that he threw his lightsaber and then he was gone. Like, I think you said it was the fact, and I'm going to butcher this, I know I am, the fact that like when he threw his lightsaber and he was like, he turned around and Han was gone. It was him like, okay, I accept this fact. Like, I'm saved, I've retreated, or whatever you said. When I saw that again, I was like, oh wow, that makes perfect sense. Like him getting rid of his lightsaber, and then Han's like, okay, I'm done. Like, you're saved, you're Ben Solo again. Like, we're good.
Well, he was Ben Solo when Rey brought him back to life.
Yeah, but I also felt it was like a last reprieve, like getting rid of the lightsaber.
Yeah,
that's what I felt after our
straw.
conversation.
Was
the final straw of like, and that's what I noticed more, and what I took away more the 3rd time than the conversation about it's being set up almost exactly like The Force Awakens.
You didn't see that it was being set up almost like The Force Awakens? Do you still contend that it's not?
No, I said when I saw it, it wasn't something that I was picking up on, when you mentioned it,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you saw it the 3rd time.
Oh, when you mentioned it during the second thing, you said something about I was like, the way he was holding his lightsaber and the gravity. I was like, oh, I replayed it in my memory and
it was the exact same line. Like, I don't know if I have the strength to do what needs to be done. The hand on the face, everything. It was. You don't pay attention.
So, do you think Harrison Ford actually came back and did the role?
Yeah. Because there was different dialogue on his part. Because obviously he's like, oh yeah, you're just a memory. I'm your memory. And then he says that I know. Like, that's new dialogue. Harrison Ford physically shot those scenes. But for the most part, it was reminiscent of their encounter in Force Awakens.
I really like the fact that the level of detail they had for Harrison Ford was amazing. Like, he had his blaster, like the costume was like, this is true Harrison, like this is true Han Solo. Like,
the stuff
it was done to a T. Yeah, it was done to a T though. Like, sometimes I think they miss certain things like that, but I felt it was done to a T. And those are the other like minor details that I picked up on.
Okay. Any other cameos that we're missing?
Then you got the Jedi. The Jedi at the end of the movie where Rey's laying down and Palp's like lightning striking the whole, what do we call it, the resistance and everything else out of the sky. And
sounds bad when you're saying lightning striking the hole.
Well, the whole. H-O-L-E. W-H-O-L-E. Sorry. And he says, she's like, be with me. Be with me. Be with me. And then, like, you hear the voices of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, Olivia Diabo as Luminara Unduli, Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano, Jennifer Hale as Yaya Sakura, Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I thought was pretty awesome. Frank Oz as Yoda, Angelique Hedin as Dee Gallia, Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan Jarrus, and Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. Did you pick every single one of those names out as they did it?
I didn't.
Okay. I heard Yoda. Obviously, Yoda's very distinctive, and you know that one. But I did not hear Ashley Eckstein.
I heard hers.
I didn't hear Hayden Christensen. I didn't hear any of them, but I heard Yoda. And then at the very end, you hear Liam Neeson, because I think his voice is very distinctive. But I didn't hear any of the rest of them.
Yeah, like, so I heard the voices, but half of them didn't register. Because the others aren't, like, mainline Jedi, you know what I mean? But either way, pretty cool bringing back familiar actors to reprise their role from a voice perspective. Yeah, I dig it. I think that was the last cameo that we have, right? No more? No more?
That we know of, that we've seen or people have seen in the credits, things that we can, there could be others that we just didn't pick up on or we didn't know because they're a stormtrooper, they're hidden behind a mask. But overall, like, yeah, that was the end. So question, because we've talked about this, Ahsoka Tano, Ashley Eckstein. Mm-hmm. We, since we didn't physically see her, did she cross over into live action?
From a voiceover perspective, yes. From a voiceover perspective, same thing with Kanan Jarrus. And you can say the same thing for Harrison Dula, because they paged her over the intercom in Rogue One. Didn't physically see him, but we know they're around. But in Ahsoka's case, all the other Jedi that we heard were dead. So does that mean Ahsoka Tano is dead at this point? Just throwing that out there. Because the last thing that we know of her in Rebels, she survived the Battle of Endor and went with Sabine into the unknown regions. So does this seal the deal that she's dead?
So wasn't it also... I'm trying to think through because I don't remember the exact dialogue, but didn't Palpatine made a comment about the fact that once he kills Rey, that's the end of the Jedi. There is no more. There is nobody else.
They always say that. He said the same damn thing in... Yoda said that about Luke being the last hope. Or no, Obi-Wan said that, and then Yoda was like, no, there is another. Talking about Leia, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, through the fact of, he's sitting there saying, once I'm done with you, that's the end of it. There's nobody else standing against me. Because if you think about it, Rey hasn't trained anybody else.
No, but you also have Broom Boy.
I was just thinking that. I was like, were you going to bring up the Broom Boy?
Hey, he's out there. He knows how to use the Force, obviously. Plus, Finn's Force sensitive.
Yeah. FN2187 is Force sensitive.
And so that also begs the question. Are the rest of the stormtroopers or First Order troopers that abandon killing civilians, are they Force sensitive as well?
So, and I don't know if we've actually straight out had this conversation. Do you feel that the Force is something that chooses you, or you're born with it?
I think you're born with it. It's not like Maybelline.
God, how did I know that's what you were going to go? Because in that case, how would the Force know which ones are going to desert and which ones were not?
Well, no, the Force made them desert. It made them go against their programming, if you will. Their indoctrination. Or is Finn a one-off?
I think Finn's a one-off. That's pretty far-fetched. I'm not saying it can happen. And it's really, we don't have any other theory, but I just...
Well, it's like the same saying, I think Ahsoka's dead because I heard her in the vision. I don't know. I don't know that for sure.
You don't know that for a fact,
but I'm making an assumption based on the information I have.
But I would agree with your assumption on Ahsoka for the simple fact of, even though Finn is Force sensitive, he did pick up a lightsaber in The Force Awakens,
and he knows exactly where Rey's at. Cat's Force sensitive.
I don't know. We may have to explore this.
JJ even came out and said,
"Oh yeah, he did." I don't know. We may have to explore this a little bit more down the line. I'm trying to think here. Oh, so I think we should go through in the list that we made 2 episodes ago about who's going to live and who's going to die.
Okay, let's get into it quick because there's burning questions that the Rise of Skywalker did not answer, and we need to get to that.
Okay, well then don't worry about it.
You
no,
sure?
We're not gonna. Yeah, don't worry about it because I feel that you're gonna continue to talk for another 2 hours, and we don't have time for that. So,
okay,
if we get to it,
okay. Palpatine. What happened to him? Did he live falling down that shaft in Return of the Jedi? He could live in space. He didn't get blown up. What happened?
so there's the Hollywood Reporter, which I found this article right before we started shooting, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to post it. I'm not going to go ahead. I'll post it. But essentially, his master, Darth Plagueis the Wise, identified how to save another's life, but it was something that he could not save his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of the questions that came up: is how did Palp live? And so what the Hollywood Reporter essentially came back with was not the greatest answer. Is Palp finally figured out how to do it. But there's also the people that were brought up on Exegol that you brought up, and you're like, I want to know more about these individuals. The article kind of approaches that a little bit too and says these individuals he's part of the leader, he's a part of a Sith cult. And these black hooded figures are called the Sith Eternal, who essentially give all their power to one to allow them to be to still rule as the Sith. So I believe, and you're going to sit here and poke holes in it all day long because that's what you do. I believe that Darth Plagueis, he learned from Darth Plagueis how to save another's life, but in reality, he learned how to save his own life after doing further research on what Darth Plagueis taught him. That's what I think.
Okay, but how does one save his own life when he's on an installation that's about to blow up? And he got thrown down a reactor shaft.
See, and that's what I can't answer. I can just say that I think he learned how to save his own life, but I don't know how that works.
I get that. I'm with you on that part, but was he blown to smithereens and he took these last bit of years taking time to regenerate his own body? Was he just a spirit? I don't think so. I think he maintained his physical form because he's trying to come back in that physical form still.
Well, he does.
Instead of just jump into a Snoke body that he's growing. You know what I mean?
Well, but I also think that when we see the Emperor, he's attached to this device that has all these hoses and cords and everything around about that's basically, in my opinion, keeping him alive.
Yeah, I agree.
And until he takes the power from Rey and Kylo, he can't stand on his own or do things on his own.
But it's still his body.
Yeah. It's still his body. I think he kept his physical being. I agree with you on that.
It's just how did he pull it off? That's the question. And hopefully this visual dictionary gives us a little bit more insight. I still want to know more deets about the Knights of Ren. Hopefully we get that in the Ben Solo comic in this visual dictionary. But I really want to know more about those guys.
I just think that I don't think they played up the Knights of Ren too much, as I've seen other characters. I feel they played up Captain Phasma way more, and that she did nothing. But I also felt that there were maybe one time that they pushed the Knights of Ren on us, when it's okay, you're just trying to find a way to push on us. And I mentioned it before. It's when they're in the desert on Paisana, and they're just the camera's just spinning around. I'm in my opinion, you didn't need that. But I do wholeheartedly agree with your comment on the previous podcast. Was okay, we didn't see them use their weapons until they fought Kylo, and I picked that up in the third one. When I watched the third time, I was like, wow, they don't. You look all mischievous and you're evil and you're gonna cause some damage, and in reality, you've done nothing.
You just look cool.
Yeah, it's where's Jebediah?
Goddamn Jebediah should have stepped up and just been a beast. But like how much more enthralled and afraid would we have been to see the Knights of Ren beat the crap out of Chewie? How much would that have pulled at your heartstrings, seeing them just pummel Chewie in the sand, and then like wave over the stormtroopers to go ahead and put the shackles on him, and he's all like spitting up blood and just beat down. Like that would have affected people on a mental level, because we always hear even Jabba the Hutt, oh, the mighty Chewbacca, bring me the Wookiee. You know what I mean?
Well, but then you also got the part where Rey like force like lightning blew up the other carrier that we didn't have until afterwards. But I'm just thinking like, that would have been a little bit much, thinking that he was dead after he just got the crap beat out of him. And I think they had to leave him with some dignity. That's just my 2 cents, and I am not gonna like hang my hat on it. But that's
he
what
got
my
his
2
dignity
cents.
back when he got that medal, when he got Han's medal. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I also wanted Maz Kanata to finally kiss Chewie.
I thought that's what was gonna happen after she gave him the medal.
That's what I wanted. At least a kiss on the forehead. Come on, Maz. You make it seem like you're all infatuated with this Wookiee, and then you don't even give him a little love at the end. It's ridiculous. Just my feelings. How much time has passed from the end of the mission, destroying the Final Order, to us seeing Rey put the lightsabers in the dirt on Tatooine? That's my question. Because she's got a saber now.
I say less than a week.
I'm just saying, she's got her own saber now. Where did she learn to build it? Was she talking to Force Ghost Luke, Leia? What? I don't know.
I think it was something that she probably had in her mind because it's made from her staff. And so for me, I think it's something, that's why I say it's probably less than a week, because she probably made it pretty quickly after she got back to the command base after they completed, they destroyed the Final Order.
And then the other burning question that I still do not have answered is, how did Maz Kanata get Luke Skywalker's lightsaber? How'd she get it?
I don't have a rebuttal for that one at all, because I think that's a question we've had since The Force Awakens.
Oh yeah, for sure,
definitely. And is yet to be answered by anybody.
I'd like it answered, probably in a book, something, comic later on down the road, but it would be interesting and cool to figure out how exactly it got to Maz.
I'm actually surprised she was in this movie, if you want my honest opinion. Like, we got her in The Force Awakens, we got her in The Last Jedi a little bit. We know she's there and she's an ally, but in reality, if you didn't, besides giving Chewie the medal and saying the fact of Leia knows what she needs to do at this point, I didn't know if you needed that character. Just my 2 cents.
All right, she was a welcome sight to see. Like, when I saw her, I was like, "Hey, Maz!" Like, I felt like, Han when he's walking in the bar and he sees her. Like,
Han Solo.
Exactly. Where he was just all casual. Hey, Maz. Any other burning questions that you have? Because I've got one more, and I think this is the end of the burning question conversation.
I think the biggest thing is my biggest burning question was how the Emperor's still alive. Other than that, like, and I get it, like, Dave's a bigger fan than I am about that. Like, I'm a fan and but I like take a lot of things with Star Wars sometimes at surface value, and y'all can probably hear that in the podcast and how I talk about things. But, in reality, my biggest thing is how did the Emperor survive? Because I go back to Darth Plagueis because I really enjoyed reading Darth Plagueis. But the whole thing about how Maz got Luke's lightsaber, like, that's to me is, it's not a dying question that I have to know. Like, it's not something I need to know. Like, how the heck Finn is Force sensitive? Yeah. Like, how the heck did that happen? Are you born with it? Or maybe it's Maybelline, as Dave was saying. Or is it something that you, like, the Force just says, we're going to choose you? So, I don't know. The biggest one is, how did the Emperor stay alive? And stay off the radar, and the Hollywood Reporter made the comment about the fact of, why did they were like, somebody asked, why didn't he just come back? I'm like, well, he needed to know he could trust people. He needed to find allies. He needed to be able to build this fleet. Would you call it a fleet or an armada?
Ooh. Well, they call it a fleet, but technically they're kind of the same thing.
I think armada sounds
better.
Anyway.
We can go ahead and create that battle if you want to play Armada one time.
God, no. I looked at his ships while we were podcasting the other day behind him, and I was like, God, this dude's got too many ships.
No.
And not to mention the super Star Destroyer that's to the right of him, or the left of him, if you're looking at it.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway, what's your final burning question?
Do we now have balance in the Force?
Yes.
How so? Darkness has been eradicated from the galaxy.
But hasn't?
That's the burning question. Is there now balance in the Force?
So here's my theory, guys. And I thought about this after I saw the first movie, because I thought the same thing. Like, do we have balance in the Force? And I think there is balance in the Force. And we talked about this even before we saw the movie on a podcast, our final thoughts or whatever. And I was just like, Rey is the balance. So Rey is a Palpatine. Shocker if you guys didn't know that. But she was also training as a Jedi. So for me, I feel that she has the blood of Palpatine running through her. She chose to be like a Jedi. And so because of that, I feel Rey in and of herself as a single individual. It's the balance in the Force. So they always talked about in the prequels that Anakin was supposed to bring balance to the Force. What exactly did that mean? What exactly? So when you bring balance to the Force, does that mean there's still two of you, but you balance out the Force? I remember the episode of Clone Wars. Don't remember what it was called. Remember there was a dad and there was his son who was the dark side, and the daughter was
the Mortis side.
There you go. And the daughter was the light side. And he kept the balance between the two. But in my opinion, they kept saying Anakin was supposed to bring balance to the Force. Something has to happen. You can't have both living and coexisting at the same time and not have what's the word, conflict. So that's why I think, based on that, that's my theory of why Rey is the balance in the Force. I'm very proud of myself for all that, by the way, because I really thought through that.
I don't know. That is the burning question. That's the biggest question out there that's going to continuously and constantly get debated. What is the meaning of balance in the Force? Other than the podcast. Does there have to be equal numbers or just the same amount of power? Does it have to be... Is it one person embodying both sides? Because technically she's a light side user that knows how to use Force lightning when she gets angry. That's not a power that a Jedi does.
Well, that's where I go back to. I agree the statement where she embodies both, but she has to balance both of them and use them when she needs to.
So will she have a new philosophy? Will she continue to train herself as well as others in the ways of the Jedi, or will she come up with a new batch of Force users later on down the road called Skywalkers, and they're just Force-sensitive individuals that try and do the right thing?
I don't know.
That's a burning question that we're probably not going to get an answer to anytime soon. Even more so with Project Luminous around the corner for a new batch of books, all that other stuff. Is it going to be about existing characters? Gave you the wiggles. I saw that. Yeah. Or is it going to start giving us information on new characters that we're going to start falling in love with? I don't know. All I know is I've seen Rise of Skywalker 3 times. My appreciation for it has grown with each viewing. I don't know where I stand on my rankings of the 9-film saga, let alone the entire Star Wars movie franchise to date. But I know I need to figure it out.
I'll figure mine out after the first of the year. Like, I need to let it, and I'll probably go see it again after the first of the year. I need to let it marinate a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we saw it, like, if we would have seen that fourth showing, I think I would have been like, ugh.
A little burnt. Yeah, exactly. A little burnt.
And so it was nice to only see it 3 times. I was saying, I think I'm going to wait till after the first of the year to go see it.
I'll see it this week. I'll just go one random day when I get some time to breathe, and I'll just go check out a showing on my own. You know what? The one thing I did want to include real quick about Palps, when he's fully back to power and he's talking to the Sith groupies or whatever you want to call them on Exegol, he has that same adorable, happy smile he had when he was addressing the Senate.
He loves being in charge.
He does. He loves being the focal point. And seeing him all happy and perky with jacked up teeth and Sith eyes, it made me smile. I was like, oh, Palps, you crazy SOB.
First of all, once he takes the power away from Kylo and Rey, that outfit.
It was beast, right?
Oh, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Like when I become an old man and just putter around the house, I'm going to be wearing shit like that all day.
He wears red and black anyway, guys, so don't.
It's gonna be glorious.
But I was like, damn, that, I don't know who designed that, but that looks good. Like, it's I don't know. It was just one of those things that it's like, before I die, and he didn't think he was going to die, but he was like, before I die, I'm going to look good. And I don't know who did it, where it came from, or who designed it, but hats off to that, because I was like, I'm impressed. That was awesome.
I can't wait for Star Wars Celebration. I want to see Mandalorians. I want to see the Mando. People with the child cosplay. I want to see new Palps. You know, Sith Troopers. I want to see them. I want to take a photo with a bunch of them. Kylo with a Kensuke mask. I feel like, oh my God. I don't know if we're ready for all the amount of cosplayers that we're going to see at the next celebration. Because we have so many more new costumes and outfits out there. It's going to be wild, man. It really is.
Yeah, and people have already started working on them.
Oh, heck yeah. I wish I had the time and dedication to go ahead and put into a costume. I really do. I think it would be awesome fun.
But yeah, so it's going to be crazy, but there are going to be a lot out there. It's I don't know. Now I'm like running through my head. I'm like, who would you take a picture with?
And after this movie, seeing Oscar Isaac the way he was in this film, I think I'd be okay with him portraying Nathan Drake from the Uncharted video game series. He had the outfit. Don't get me wrong. I still think Nathan Fillion would be an awesome first pick, but I think Oscar Isaac could do it. You have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, John, but those are those listeners out there that have PS3s, PS4s. They know exactly what I'm talking about. He had the look down. I think he could do it. He just needs a haircut. Let's get this guy going. It's Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
Netflix original series.
Poe was just Poe was on a whole nother level.
Anything to include else in this episode as we wrap it up, John?
No, I'm good. Go see the movie. Hopefully you've already seen it if you just want to listen to the spoiler episode.
If not, I'm getting ready for send all your hate to John. Hit him in the DMs.
Hey, Dave picks the comics, guys, not me. I just get the information. Anyway, we thank you for tuning in today. We are Balance of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy. And we shall